This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, episode 692, How to Plan to Create a Safe and Uplifting Classroom Environment This Fall. Welcome to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, hosted by author, educator, speaker, and mom, the Cool Cat teacher, Vicki Davis. We don't know what the future holds, but we know that there are things we can do to help our students cope with anxiety. We can even incorporate those techniques as part of our preparation for distance learning. Joseph Hamer, second grade teacher from Wichita, Kansas, and author of Brain Awakes, joins Vicki to discuss these important topics. Enjoy!
Hello, remarkable educators. Do you have a Donors Choose project that needs funding? Tune in at the end of the episode to learn how you can get your project funded through today's sponsor, Advancement Courses. Thank you to Advancement Courses for sponsoring today's episode. Today we are talking with Joseph Hamer. He's second grade teacher from Wichita, Kansas, and co-author of Brain Awakes. It's available on Amazon, and he's got Facebook and lots of other places that you can connect. So, Joseph, as you're getting ready to go back to school August 5th, and we'll see what they announce about your students, one of your goals is to create a safe and uplifting environment no matter where your classes meet. How does that start?
Man, Vicki, thanks for having me. I think it starts now, not even on day one. I think taking care of myself now, getting myself, yes, physically ready for the classroom if it ends up being there, but more mentally okay with what it is so I can take a positive energy into my classroom. But every year, I always start out day one with our one rule for the entire year. We have one rule in my classroom, and it's to treat others the way you want to be treated. That's it. And I love that rule because it works for both the positive and the negative times. When I see a kid picking up pencils or doing something really kind for another student, I can ask them, hey, is that the way you want to be treated? And if it is, I put a positive tally on the board. And then same thing, it's also a learning opportunity. If I hear someone saying something unkind to another student, I can ask them, hey, are you treating them the way you would want to be treated? And if not, yeah, eventually it gets that one minus tally on the board, but it's more about that conversation of, oh, how do you want to be treated? How do you think they wanted to be treated? How do you think that made them feel? And so I think that is the best way for me to start out getting a safe and uplifting environment is by pointing out what makes it safe and uplifting and what kind of does the counter of that.
And then now we've got this new complexity with distancing. So, for example, I saw someone the other day and they're like, oh, I want to give you a hug. And I recoiled and I was like, well, you know what? I am distancing because I've got an elderly person in my family who she's just elderly and I want to hug her more, right? And kids are all coming from different families and different backgrounds. So some may want distance and some may want to be closer, and some kids don't know better sometimes. So how do you apply this rule to the distanced world?
Right. Especially even in your own family. I think possibly even both of their parents are handling the distancing differently. So I think the most important thing is going to be establishing what that's going to look like in the classroom. So talking about the way things are done at home are sometimes different than they are at school, and both are okay. So at home, you might braid your sister's hair or tackle your brother and beat up on him, which is okay, but here at school, things are a little bit different. This is the way we're going to treat each other at school. So I think that's the first step, is establishing what those expectations are. But then I think going further is teaching children how to voice their actions before they do it. So if they do want to go and give someone a hug, teaching them how to say, can I give you a hug? Or may I give you a hug? Or can I give you a high five? Or let's do this. That way, at school or at the store, they have this sense of communication that they feel comfortable starting out with that communication.
You know, anxiety is a real issue for adults, for kids, for everyone right now. Do you have some things you teach children to help them handle that stress and anxiety that you'll, teach pretty quickly, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that I do in my classroom that I think every single day is a little mindfulness activity. So we have our big social emotional learning curriculum that we do pretty often. But every single day after lunch recess, I sit down on the carpet with my kids and we do a quick mindfulness activity. Less than 5 minutes. We sit there, we breathe, or we focus on something, maybe finding things in the classroom with our eyes, but teaching them how to sit, how to recognize our emotions going on in us and what those feel like, and then how to regulate them is so important to me in the past and moving forward. I think it's going to be more important than ever, especially with the anxiety, with the fear of the unknown coming. It's going to be really critical to a successful year.
Give us an example of one of those activities, because I think you have one in the book where they trace their fingers. I love it.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite ones. It's called Five Fingers, Five Breaths. So I have the kids open up their hand like number five, and we take 5 breaths, and they use their other hand and trace up their thumb as we breathe in, down their thumb as they breathe out, up their pointer finger as they breathe in, down their pointer finger as they breathe out. And so we go through 5 deep breaths with them. And I love that one so much because it's one that I can see them doing later in the year. So if they're having trouble with a partner or getting frustrated on their computer game or outside at recess, it's so powerful to me and motivating when I see a child choose to regulate themselves that way. But there's so many others, and I feel like every child has a different favorite one.
Yes, and I know that my middle school basketball coach taught me some techniques. We didn't call them mindfulness at the time, but some breathing techniques and visualization I have used my whole life through. I mean, that's one probably much more valuable to me than the basketball skills I learned because I'm not using those at all. So let's talk about the fact that, say we go face to face, we never know when we will have to go to distance. So how are you going to make your transition from face to distance safe and uplifting? And how do you prepare for that?
So, technology wise, I think that starts before your distance learning. For me, it's going to be getting the kids familiar and comfortable with whatever technology platform in our classroom when I can be there over their shoulder, and maybe not too close, but helping them out and guiding them on that technology. And also at that time, I can also work with parents more closely so that they also feel comfortable. Because without having a smooth transition in that technology, it's going to be really hard to keep that safe and uplifting environment going. So then from there, we'll transfer that golden rule of treating others the way you want to be treated and taking that to distance learning. So in all of our online communication, that will still be the theme as we move forward. But most importantly, what I learned this last 9 weeks of school was having a whole group on a face-to-face video call is beneficial, but also less personal. Something I'm going to do very intentionally this next year is have smaller groups meet with me so that we can still have that safe environment where we feel comfortable sharing and laughing and talking, and a little more personal than having 22 kids all on the same time wanting to share or doing something different or going to get their dog.
Yeah, I know that the teachers at my school of lower elementary reported that their reading groups were some of their favorite times, and that in some ways, some of teachers, including me, say that we grew closer to our students because, we were in each other's homes, we met each other's pets. It's just a different type of relationship. So it's not our favorite. We'd rather be face-to-face in the classroom, but if we're going to relate, we've got to relate so we can educate. So I think the other point you make is that blended learning is what we need. We need to have our digital classroom blended together with our face-to-face classroom so that we're ready for whatever we face. So, Joseph, as we finish up, what anxiety-reducing advice do you have for us teachers?
Oh, for teachers, I think we're so hard on ourselves, and teachers are just so hardworking. We put our kids first, and oftentimes we're putting in hours and hours of work outside of the school. I think moving forward, we need to give ourselves that time for us to regenerate, whether it's through mindfulness or yoga or going on a walk or just sitting on the couch for a little bit with just silence. I think we have to have that moment of self-care. Otherwise, we're going to be so drained that we really can't bring our A game, which is what the students are counting on right now. It's going to be about giving ourselves the consistent care so that we can go and be consistent in our classroom.
Well, lots of great advice. The book is Brain Awakes. And Joseph, thank you for your time and good luck as you get ready to start back to school. We all have very challenging times. We've all been in situations where our school was the one in the community having challenges. Well, right now it's every school. We're all in this together. We need to encourage each other and help each other move forward. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you, Vicki.
Advancement Courses is a leader in online professional development with over 280 courses in 20 different subjects, including topics like online instruction, social emotional learning, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. This back-to-school season, they are partnering with Donors Choose and donating 10% of all sales to help fund projects every day until September 25th. Visit advancementcourses.com/give to learn more and submit your project for a chance to get funded. Thank you, Advancement Courses, for sponsoring this show.